Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Solvitor podcast. I don't know what episode we're on now. It might be 3. I think this is 3. I don't trust my maths. I'm joined today by Dina Gronbeck, an aspiring actor who is a good friend of mine. And we're just going to talk a bit about confidence. So, Dina, how are you? And do you want to explain a bit how you got into acting first?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. First of all, how are you?
I'm good, yeah.
That's good. Well, I started acting when I was like around 10. I started with dancing and that whole of like, I loved performing arts since I was very young. And then I somehow ended up in this acting group. And since that day, I fell in love. And yeah, since that day, I've just known that, yeah, actor, that's what I'm going to be one day.
And so you started in a group. What was the group like? Was it males and females, or was it an all female group? And what type of performances were you doing?
It was mixed gender. It was everyone who wanted to join, and we did kind of all different types of performances. Obviously we were young, so it was for children, but at the same time mature. I would say I was very lucky to kind of be thrown into the mature world of theater and acting quite young, which I think really have helped me formed me today, to be honest.
When you get on stage when you were younger, do you still have that same feeling of anticipation as you do now when you get on stage?
It's almost worse now, to be honest. It's kind of because when I was younger, obviously it meant a lot, but it was important to me. But over the years, important. So I think when I was younger, it was more of like, oh, it was scary to kind of have that focus on me and that attention on me. That was scary. But now it's obviously that's just as scary today. But now you add in the thing of like, wow, I actually really want to succeed. I want to be as good as possible, which is, yeah, it makes it even more scary. So to me, the older I get, the more important it gets almost. So the more the nerves hits. That's how I feel, at least.
And how do you deal, like, obviously, because you've got to be very, very confident to get on stage. So how do you deal with that, pre-stage jitters or the nerves beforehand?
Yeah. I think for me, I can never get them to go away. I can, unless you said, deal with them, to be honest. The only thing I can do is not let them stop me from doing my best. And that's something I still very much work on to this day, is kind of finding that way to not letting it stop my creative freedom and feeling free, because that's what they do to me. That kind of makes me like, we all know how it is to go and have a presentation. It kind of gets you a bit stiff and all that stuff. And that's what I'm working on today, is kind of letting it not stop me from being free. And that is challenging but fun.
I don't know how you feel about this, but I was thinking to myself, having done like quite a few different things on stage, the nerves are different depending on what I'm doing. So I was going to ask you, do you feel that sometimes, depending on what you're about to perform, you might be more nervous than other times?
Yeah, I think as you said, it's obviously different types of nerves because you're doing different types of stuff. Like obviously when you go on stage as well, I don't know, do you get into kind of do you have to get into, when you go and do your stuff on stage, do you get into like a mental state or
it depends again on what I'm doing. I mean, like, there have been times where I've performed in front of like hundreds and been fine, and then there have been times where I'm going into a local pub to perform and there's like 10 people in there and I'm absolutely beside myself with nerves.
Yeah.
But I really think that it depends on your headspace. It also depends, I was going to ask you about your preparation. Sometimes I'll be like, about to go on stage and I'm like, oh no, I don't have all my lyrics down packed. I know something's going to go wrong here and I'm just going to have to work that out when it comes. Yeah. And then they'll start to set in. Whereas if you're 100% prepared, so I'm going to hit this, it's going to go well. So I don't know, it depends on that front. What do you think about preparation?
I think about preparation, that it comes back to what you said earlier. Like, it depends on what I'm, at least for me, it depends on what I'm going to do. Is it like comedy? Is it kind of more serious? Am I going to be alone on stage? Am I going to be with other people? Because being with other people on stage is, I mean, you have that kind of, you know, you give each other energy and it's amazing, but it's also that kind of like feeling of you need to trust that person as well, and that is scary, to trust other people as well as yourself, because obviously you need to remember all your lines, but it's also the kind of like, okay, I'm just going to give myself to you 100%, and I hope you will do the same to me. And then that it's a very, I think preparation is, it depends on what you, for me at least, it depends on what I'm going to do on stage, but it's so important. Like I get in my own world and I'm like, if someone tried to talk to me, I'm like, oh no, I just need to be in my completely own mind space. But I've seen other actors do different things, so yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean I performed on stage twice with other people, and I was a lot less confident in the performance itself, not necessarily in myself, because I knew some of them didn't know their lines fully well, and I had like monologues and like all sorts of stuff that I had to do. And for me, I'm not an actor, but for me, the physical acting, the actual movements and all that stuff, that was where I always failed. That was where I'd always forget to consider, right, what are the physical characteristics of my character? But yeah, that was made 10 times harder when I was also thinking, oh God, is so-and-so going to remember his flipping line? Otherwise, I'm going to forget the next 4 that are coming up. So that would make me nervous.
True.
So yeah. And I've seen you stage twice now. I really enjoyed your solo performance, and I did pick up a bit more passion in your solo performance as well. And I know we don't necessarily have to go into it, but I know it was maybe because the themes were a bit more personal to you, but as well I felt like you knew everything you were doing it, and you were contributing. And so I thought that you were very, very, came out storming with confidence in that solo performance. So that was excellent. Being a female, you know, obviously in the industry, because you're not just, you haven't just been a student, you've also done many productions and short films and other stuff. So being a female in the industry, what type of confidence do you think you need that possibly males don't need as much of?
Well, I can only speak on my own experiences, obviously, but I think especially outside of the university stuff I've done, I think it's been really, as a woman, kind of having confidence and trusting that I'm there for a reason. And because obviously I've been to, you know, where in situations where, well, it shouldn't, you know, where looks, it shouldn't really matter how you look like then, but you know, they somehow manage to make it a thing, or there's comments on it. So, you know, sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm here because I did that audition, or I, you know, and just really trusting, okay, it's not looks, that's not my problem. You know, I'm here because I want, because, you know, I'm trying to be as good as possible in what I'm doing. And I think, I'm sure there are obviously males who have those thoughts as well, but obviously as a woman, I can only speak for myself. Then I've felt that, you know, that's something, you know, just really having confidence that, okay, I'm here for my abilities and not how someone may look, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you've touched on something really important there, and obviously what I can speak males, we don't get that as much. I can say that anything you do, it's, you know, that was a really good fight, not, oh, you look really great up there, you know, that was a really great song. It's not, oh, you look great up there, or you didn't do this or that. There is definitely a difference there. And do you think that's changing slowly with the way that our political climate is going, or do you think that's always going to be the way?
Well, obviously I'm still very new to the business and everything, so it's difficult to say, but I mean, I've noticed, you know, working with like the university people who are like, obviously, who are much younger and also starting in this business, that they have a much more what can I say, more up-to-date look on these types of things. You know, I haven't really felt the same thing there as I have when I've done stuff maybe outside of the university. So I mean, you can only hope, you know, that it will change. And yeah, but it's difficult to say.
And you as everyone will be able to hear, your English is impeccable. In fact, it's a lot better than mine. And English speaker. You came. English isn't your first language, and you came over as a foreign student. How do you think, coming over to a different country to then act in a different language? How you must need unreal confidence to be able to do that. I mean, that is just really amazing.
I mean, it was interesting. I'm from Norway, and we learn English there since I can't remember what age we start learning it, but we start learning it pretty young. So, I could speak it, fairly well. And I came here and I was like, oh shit, I cannot. I feel like I lost everything. And I remember sitting in class and supposed to have like these deep discussions, and I was just sitting there completely quiet. And, that's not like me to sit there and just be quiet. So, it took some time to just, as you said, get confident in the language. And that was more challenging than I thought it was going to be, to be honest. And I think it's especially acting in the language as well. It's getting better now. But when we do such things as like improvisation and stuff, I completely froze and will be, because my brain doesn't function obviously as well in English as it does in Norwegian. And language is a massive part of being able to, feel confident in yourself and give yourself 100%. Because I felt like I lost 40% of myself when I couldn't speak the language properly. And that was a very interesting feeling. So, because when I go back to Norway now, I'm like, oh, now I'm Dina, this is who I recognize. And, I'm obviously, after 2.5 years here, I feel great, but it's important, way more important than I thought it was going to be. So yeah.
And your ambitions. So where do you want to take this? Do you want to take this all the way to the top? I mean, what is your like 5-year plan for acting?
I mean, obviously, yes. I want to be able to live off this. That's the main goal. Don't really care about anything else. I just want to be able to do this full time. And I know that's it's a challenging goal, but I'm here for it. And yeah, I mean, I'm just here to see whatever it takes me, to be honest. As I said, as long as I can do it, then I'm happy.
When people tell you, because that's such an amazing dream, that's such an amazing ambition, but there are people out there just going to go, look, it's not going to happen. Forget it. What would you say to them?
Fuck off, more than anything. I feel like it's I've heard that so much. People said it to me, oh, that's challenging, and what's your plan B? And I'm like, I don't have a plan B. I don't really, obviously if you want a plan B, great for you, that's fantastic, that's really smart, but for me it's I don't want it. It's not in my, no, I just, so I don't know, I feel I don't really care. I know it's challenging, and that's what I'm doing it, because that's the fun part, is challenging it, and it gives me so much life and so much, it really gives something to my life. So I don't know, I just don't care. I mean, yes, it's going to be difficult, and I don't think I don't realize how difficult it's going to be, because I'm not there yet. I'm still just finishing uni. So yeah, I'm just ready for whatever happens sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people. I'm not one to stomp on a dream ever, and there's a lot of people that have sat in front of me and said, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I always say, oh, good on you. And sometimes in my head, I'm thinking, yeah. But you are definitely one of those people that I do see it driving. And I think that drive comes a lot from you knowing your own self-worth, and you knowing that you're actually, you let your acting talk for itself, right? When people say no, you then get on stage and you say, yeah. And so I definitely believe that is a good ambition to have, and one that's achievable. I was thinking a lot, because obviously we haven't had on the podcast yet, we haven't had a performance artist on. Yeah, I was really excited to have one on. And to those people out there who maybe are in acting, or maybe aren't, that have a lot of talent but don't have the self-belief and self-confidence to get up on stage and show their talent, what do you say to them? how should they go about maybe coming out their shell a bit more?
Oh, wow, I mean, I had massive I was so scared of going on stage, and especially when it comes to speaking on stage, I was terrified. But I think, and it's so cliche and everyone says it, but you just need to do it. And that's the only, because the thing is, when you do it, at least for me, it's scary as hell every time, but that's also why I love it, you know. And you will learn, I learned to love those nerves, because it's scary and it makes me want to go home and hide under my bed, but I love that in a way, because there's something in my life that I don't get anywhere else at all. And the first years I hated those nerves. I just wanted them to go away. But then after a while, you know, you learn to, you get that confidence, you know, you get that you know, I know what I'm doing, I know my lines, I love this, I belong on that stage. And
if you do get that sense of belonging, like, this is where I be. Exactly. You know, sometimes it does make me sad. You know, I don't get it often because I'm not a natural anything I do on stage. Like, I'm not at it, at the art form. But I do get it sometimes. You know, I get a bit sad when I come off and some random stranger, you know, I'll tell them what I've studied or something like that, and they're saying, "No, you belong on stage." And I do think sometimes, you know, well, maybe, but with regards to confidence and getting up, you know, I think each performance you do, and we all do, I think it gets better. You get more used to it, but the reward is still always the same, which is nice.
Yeah,
because you get that. I get that adrenaline rush. I'm sure you do as well. Do you get that feeling of, yeah?
It's amazing. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because I feel like, for me at least personally, you know, you need a lot of confidence to go up on stage, but I feel like being on stage have given me the confidence that I need in the rest of my life, sort of thing, which is very, you know, so I feel it doesn't come out of nowhere. You really just need to just go up there and try, and it's bloody hard, but it's really fun, and as you said, it gets better. It really does.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do the boxing, for example, if I hadn't had that, you know, introduction of stuff. Because one thing I always teach myself to do, which I'll be interested to get your opinion on it, you asked me how I prepare, is like, if I am feeling those nerves in a situation, I try and transform those nerves into anticipation, because I know that anticipation can quickly turn into excitement. And if I come out on stage excited, the audience is going to be excited. If I come off stage like, you know, like the audience are just going to be like, oh no, what's this guy doing? And there have been times, yeah, especially when I was young, when I came out, I was like, and it just, you know, you stutter the first line or something like that, and then just go, oh, yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's one thing that I do try to do. But yeah, so what's the last thing, actually, this was really important, I was going to ask you. I sometimes get a bit more scared when I'm actually not in front of an audience, but I'm in front of a camera. I've done one camera thing in my life, and it was the worst experience. I had to take like multiple takes because I just started staring into that black camera, and then there's just a red dot recording, and I just lose it. Whereas in a stage, it's like, great, I can see the people, brilliant. What's it like for you? Difference between being in front of a camera and being on stage?
Well, it's interesting because I have the same as you, to be fair. Well, I've been on stage for since I was 10, or before that, doing, you know, before other, you know, dancing and stuff. So I'm used to that. I mean, you know, that's where I feel like I belong on stage. And I've like the last years only recently started doing some camera work, and it's terrifying. It really is terrifying. And I guess it's something you get used to. I mean, I hope I will one day feel that same freedom in front of a camera as I do on stage, because I feel like for me that's a very different. I feel so like, okay, I have to stand right here because the camera is there, and it just it's great fun, and I'm learning to love it more and more. But same as you, my first experience with camera work was just it was horrible. I was so scared.
sometimes as well. I don't get nervous, but it irritates me. It's
Yeah.
like, you got to stand there and no, don't do that pose. It's like, tell me what you want. And yeah, I don't have that. I know you do, because I've heard you're good at this, but that just creative freedom to just do a pose and know it's right. I like to be told what to do. I'm like, yeah, tell me when I need to stand. I need to look. And yeah. If I don't get told, I get a bit frustrated and then a bit nervous. But yeah,
very understandable.
Yeah, I had one more question, which was, it's a question I asked all my guests. It's like, how important do you think confidence is to you in both your professional and personal life? And without it, do you think you'd even be the shred of the human being that you are today?
No, I mean, thinking about it, because it's something I, don't think about often, to be fair. But really thinking about it, it has for sure changed my life. I mean, just day by day as well. I mean, I have some days where I feel so confident in myself. I just feel like nothing can stop me, and I have the best day, and I have then another day, and I just feel not confident in myself at all, and it's just a horrible day, and that is the truth for me, at least. Like, it really makes a massive difference. And same with on stage, if I'm not feeling confident in what I'm doing, or I'm standing on stage, this is shit, this is not what I'm doing, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, everyone can see that, and it's just, so yeah, it has a massive saying in both my personal and professional life, for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Dina. This has been an excellent conversation. And I think you've really hit home that confidence, it can be a superpower. And if you've got it, you should use it. Thanks very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Dina's socials will be in the description. Feel free to reach out to her if you're an actor and you've got any questions. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer. And thanks for coming on again, Dina. Brilliant.
Thank you.